Welcome to the SC Journey, where we take you on journeys from across the spectrum on just how the hell we became systems engineers. My name's Zane Allen, and he's Chris Sprague. I said that backwards. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us again for another episode. Today we're going to do a little special episode. Holiday episode. Generally, we bring on a guest to talk about their journey, how they became an SE or got into their role. So today we're going to switch it up a little bit. We're going to do a holiday special update show. So my host here, Zane, and I will talk about, we'll just kind of shoot the breeze a little bit about the holidays and then give you an update on what our current roles are and what our journeys have been looking like. And we'll go from there. So with that, Zane, how are you doing today?
Good. And in true SE Journey fashion, we're doing our holiday episode, which will come out a month after the holidays, right? So
Yes.
Hopefully not that long. Maybe we'll get this out soon. But the holidays have passed. So
what are we? Just a couple days after New Year's here. We thought it would be good. It's been a long time since we've even done an episode. So we've been shooting to do an update episode, and then the holidays got here, and so now we're just kind of combining them both.
Yep.
And hopefully we get it out close enough to the holidays.
So end of year activities and our roles. Heck, I went to Europe for 2 weeks. So yeah, we got a little off track.
Yeah,
hoping for great things for 2023, right, for the show, and have some plans to keep it on a better cadence and get a great set of all new folks to talk to. But
yeah, be a little more consistent. Be a nice New Year's resolution. Be a little more consistent. Right. But all good resolutions are broken, I think. So no, we will try. Talking about your little trip there, you mentioned. I was going to say, it's been 2 weeks or so that we haven't really talked, right? Of course, we text each other, say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and all those things. But a couple weeks might not be long for most people, or me talking to my other family members. But Zane, you and I talk
really different, right?
yeah, I was gonna say, but you and I talk every day, if not multiple times a day, right? So we've kind of been tuned out from each other for a couple weeks. So how's the holidays and Christmas, and you had that vacation, right? So
yeah, I started December. Got to take a trip to Europe. Partially with a group that I belong to, the VMUG, and then, time with the family out there. So you're right, that kind of started December, and I got back just in time for the holidays when everybody else was taking time off, and I felt like I was kind of cut off from a lot of people, but got to do some lab work at home and catch up on some learning activities and studying, and so that was nice. But holidays were good, low key. Just kind of the immediate family. Easy Christmas. I live in Seattle. I think we probably said that before. Had a nice little snow thaw refreeze, so sheets of ice everywhere. So it kind of kept us in the home for most of the time. But not quite a white Christmas, but more of a problem if you went outside, right?
Yeah, and, that's right. Because we got that snowstorm up in the Northwest here, which was, pretty bad for us as well, but Seattle doesn't normally get that, right? Like, you'll get those cold fronts, but you were even showing up on our news like, hey, they're getting snow. This is abnormal.
And I guess the last few years, I've only been in Seattle 6 years, but we've gotten quite a bit of snow. It was just weird. This year, it was more the crunchy, I hear they call it the Cascadian concrete out here, where it kind of thaws and brings back, but then it just sheets of ice. So if if you just had normal kind of all season tires, you were just skating around out there. My wife went to do some errands, texted me, said, I'm just going to go to the store that's really close and I'm coming back, and told me how she kind of just didn't have a lot of control getting into intersections. So yeah,
it's always
not normal.
It's always surprising to me. I appreciate the public service announcements, but I saw a bunch of, I saw a few posts about, here, a wreck, be careful of that black ice out there. You can't see it. And, and the reason I kind of smile and say it's funny to me is, yep, that's exactly what black ice is. Yeah. That's why you need to be careful. But it's true. It's hard to see. And that we had a lot of that. And to your point, that crunchy snow, we had a, quote unquote white Christmas because it snowed like 2 weeks before and then just froze into that hard.
Yeah.
It's like, walking on crunchy grass and snow.
I slept with the dog out and he's like, crunch, 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 crunch. Not that fluffy stuff. We normally have I live on a hill, or it's kind of like the hill ends right where my driveway starts, basically on this kind of curve, and the whole neighborhood comes out to sled that hill when it snows, and not a single person out there this time because it wasn't enough snow, and it's not as fun to. You probably could have ice skated on it if you wanted, but a lot of sledding going on. In fact, actually, I ran into somebody at an event yesterday, someone else that works, basically an SE that works here up here, and he said he did put his skates on. He's a little more south of here.
Really?
And he said, I skated down the street. He goes, I'm not a great skater, but I put them on. I tried it, and I mean, I didn't touch that road at all. I'm like, that's insane. I go, it looked like that, and you tested the theory. That's funny. Yeah. I was like, that's hilarious, good. Man. Just out there, just watch your neighbor just skating down the street in skates.
Cool.
Anyway. So, weather and holidays were good. How about, I caught the Avatar movie on New Year's Day, so that's quite an epic thing.
Did you? The Way of Water, the new
The Way of Water, yeah, that's in 3D too. Don't normally watch them that way, but I think that movie is definitely something you should do.
Oh, did you see it in 3D?
Yeah.
So
it was awesome. I mean, and it was more about the perspective,
right?
Like kind of the depth of field, but it was.
That's
amazing.
why the first one was awesome, right? He shot it with 3D cameras. I don't know if the new one. I don't think the new one was shot with 3D cameras, so right?
No, they must have created it that way, right?
They just post process it a lot better. Because I know the original one, he used two, dual lens cameras, shot it in 3D. I think now it's all about the high frame rate cameras and stuff. But I saw it on the Thursday, the night before it came out, not 3D, and it was great. It was great.
I think they used. There's some effects that I saw like a bunch of people and it must have been that. But no, it was like there were scenes where, and I don't want to ruin the movie, but you're like in. Like a sub thing, and you feel like you're in it because you get that depth of field. It was pretty great. Yeah, my son, he's kind of like, I don't like having I can only see things through the glasses. I want it off. I'm like, yeah, but I think it really made this movie awesome, buddy.
Well,
anyway,
that's
family loved it. Yeah,
my 7-year-old, we watched Avatar. I have it in 3D, and I still have a 3D TV, believe it or not. So we watched it in 3D before we went to the new one.
Oh, that's brilliant.
But we didn't see that in 3D. And he really liked it. It was, not to give too much away either, but it's a fantastic movie. It looks beautiful. It made me really appreciate what Avatar achieved in 2009.
Yes.
You're like, wow.
When you saw that movie for the first time.
Yeah. That's why that thing blew everybody away in 2009. So, anyway.
My son's funny that he said, and I'll leave it on that, but I liked it, but the first one was the highest grossing movie ever. And I'm like, okay, so you're not going to like this one if it doesn't reach that same goal? Like, come on, buddy. Like, he's just funny. Like, that's what he honed in on. He liked it. Nobody even really noticed the 19 hours it was or whatever that we were in that movie theater. But
it goes
it's like
pretty
about
fast.
3 hours, right? It doesn't seem like it.
Dude,
You're
I had
enthralled in it. It's great.
I had a 7-year-old with me. Never once went, I got to go do the wiggles or I got to go to the bathroom. Somehow he even lasted through that whole thing. So it keeps your attention.
There you go. We should start this as a podcast, part of the podcast segment, huh?
Movie
music. Recommendation of the week.
Yeah.
Hey, the new Spider-Man's coming out. The second. My daughter's all excited about that. She's
Into Spider-Verse.
Into the Spider-Verse, yeah.
Or what the new one's called, something else, but it's that one, Sony's.
The multiverse, yeah. So
that one's gonna be cool. Yeah.
Looking forward to that one as well. Yeah, we'll probably see the Ant-Man one too. Why not? My family are Marvel freaks. Actually, I have Miss Time right here. If anybody knows that reference from Loki. My family, we watch all the Marvel stuff. Did catch Black Adam on New Year's Eve. Actually watched that way into the early album. I'm not a big fan of that movie, but that movie
really, we haven't seen that one.
Wasn't so great, but we still watch them all. All right, we watched that. Well, that's DC, I know, but we still watch.
Yeah.
I know all that stuff. Anyway, all right, yeah. So that concludes the.
That's interesting.
The movie portion of our podcast.
Does it? I was actually not, because you made me think of something else. I was going to say, I just read that James Gunn, who did Guardians of the Galaxy, is taking over the the
Oh.
DC
Yeah,
universe. Or
I heard that too.
So maybe they'll get their stuff together. That'd be cool.
because those are good movies. So
So
those are done well. And my favorite ride at Disneyland, by the way, Guardians of the Galaxy. I even like it better than when it was Tower of Terror. Maybe we've talked about that before.
but yeah, we have. I don't know if I can agree with that one. Maybe if I get back to Disney World and try the Tower of Terror again, I can.
That's true.
Real.
Hey, got a chance, right? March,
Yeah.
March
Yeah.
coming around. We're gonna be out there in our company, right? We're gonna be out there for kickoff. So
Yeah,
speaking
that's true.
speaking of that, as we, I think we've kind of mentioned it on the show, but I think when we started this, we worked at a different company, same one, funny enough, and now we work at Pure, in whole new, brand new roles.
Yeah,
That's right. They don't seem brand new, right? We've been here, almost 2 years.
Yeah, I had to pause for a second, think about it. No, that's why you got all the cool Pure bezels showing up behind.
That's
you,
true. That's true. If it isn't obvious, yeah.
all that stuff, right? So,
Somebody called me out for this once. Someone we both know that we work with. She said, "Are those Pure Rays behind you?" I said, "Well, they're bezels." She's like, "You're a nerd." I'm like, "Well, yeah. I work
yes,
at a tech company, of course. That's why you like us."
That's how I got this role.
Absolutely.
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't talked them into giving me a full array yet. Just get the plastic front piece.
Yeah.
At my home. So yeah, before we get into deep into our roles there, even though that was a good segue, is there any anything else we did over the break? I mean, one thing kind of bring up that I wanted to share was we got to do some fun things over Christmas break. We haven't in a while. Like we went to like the Christmas show. My son got pictures with Santa. We actually got to go to the what do they call that?
Oh yeah.
Christmas
9 years.
festival,
Yeah.
right? We went to our botanical gardens and went and saw they call it the Christmas lights aglow at the botanical gardens, and it's beautiful. It's like our botanical gardens up in the foothills and all the flowers and the gardens, and they're all lit up. So it was cool to finally take that. The reason I thought about this, the one that I thought about is my son. We went to his Christmas program at school, his first program ever in school.
Oh,
As a second grader, right? Because
awesome.
and we thought about this. We went. He was so excited that mom and dad were there, and then aunts and uncles came, and grandma and grandpa, because they do multiple shows. So we started thinking about it. We're like, man, this is the first one he's ever got to do, because we had this little pandemic
restrictions.
thing.
Yeah.
That I think most of us have forgotten about already now.
Wasn't
but,
putting them on at home, like you wouldn't do little
No.
shows for you at home.
Kids like to do that anyway. Luckily, his daycare, before he ever started school, his daycare, I guess he'd probably be about preschool age, they did one. So he actually got to play Santa back when he was 4 years old or
Oh,
something.
that's fun.
In daycare. But as a school program, like where we all went to school and we did practice the programs and we sing in choir and stuff, and our parents come. He's never done that until now in second grade. So that's a cool thing.
I was saying,
man.
that's like the age group, right? You don't necessarily get those after 4th, 5th grade. So
it's
by
after
now
elementary.
you should have been on your 3rd, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Kindergarten, first grade. And so it was cool. I like to bring that up because we got to, do some family stuff for the holidays, and it makes me think about the years going forward. And just, I think you and I have talked about this too. I have 2 older kids that are out of the house. And the last thing I want is my younger son to disappear as fast as they did.
Yeah.
So being able to take those times and really,
Oh, yeah.
like that was something that kind of hit us. Like, man, he hasn't got to do any of this, and he loved it. So I'm excited for the new year. Not only what we're gonna do for work, but just going out, maybe taking my kids out, theme park. Even theme parks we were at, and they're like, yeah, can't get signatures at Disneyland anymore. You can't
It
hug.
might be a little bit back to more normal. I mean, it's a new normal, but less. Yeah.
Yeah. So right before the end of the year, we went, I think, to Legoland. That was the first time my son had ever seen a character like give him a high five, So anyway, we did lots of cool things back to normalcy this year for us. Maybe I'm a little behind the times for everyone else, but actually seeing some programs and some light shows, it was really exciting. And like I said, as I think about it, it was probably really the first experience for my son. So that was cool.
No, that's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, my son doesn't have those anymore in high school, but my daughter, she
Yeah.
sings in choir, so we have those. But you're right, you know that the programs thing is a past.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did one. Unfortunately, I went to Europe before them. They showed up a week later. I missed her last one, but she just got accepted to the 8th grade like special where you go perform at the high school.
Nice,
So I'll
yeah.
get to catch that. Pretty excited. She loves singing.
That's cool.
So it's her thing. It's one of her things. But so no,
So,
you're right. All that stuff's very important, and it's kind of cool to do that when you're able to do that around the holidays. Kind of bring you back to center with why we do all these other things, right?
Yeah. I mean, you just made me think something, bringing it back to center. It's really kind of invigorated me. And just the last couple of days, I think I got sick twice over the break, to be honest.
Yeah.
I got sick traveling once right before the break. And then I just got really sick this last week. And honestly, I don't know that I was sick as much as I lost my voice and my body was sore. I think I told my family, I'm like, it's just because you guys run me ragged all through the holidays. So I honestly think I lost my voice and stuff just from running wild and doing Christmas and all the events, that we
Body's
do.
just shutting down.
It was just shutting down.
Time to rest, Chris, and we're just going to shut you down. Yeah,
exactly. And then you rest and you get reinvigorated for the new year.
Yep.
Exciting stuff like that. So, before last thought I had before we move on, I'm kind of curious about your trip. Not only how it was with the kids and the family. If you want to give us a little detail, you don't have to go into a lot, but and then also. Did you run into any travel issues? There's been so many travel issues this year, which it made me happy that I decided I don't think Christmas is the holiday to travel.
No. And that's funny you say that because I went to Europe. I've never been actually, well into my 40s, and I'd never been to Europe. Mostly North America for me. All 3 countries in North America. The farthest I've been is probably Hawaii, I guess, but that's still America. That's still the U.S., right? It's just way out in the middle of the ocean. But, down as far as Mexico and up into Canada. So first Europe trip for me, it's very, very exciting to see. I think I missed all that travel stuff, but, now that we're going to Europe, I'm like, hey, should be our thing. Every December, we're going to Europe. We'll pick another country. Maybe we'll do several, because you can get around really easy where you're there. Flights are like $70 once you're in Europe to get from country to country. It's so great. But then you're right. Then I saw the travel restriction hitting Christmas, and I'm like, oh, maybe you either got to travel right before and be there and not try to travel around it, or do it weeks before like we did, or maybe do it afterwards, right? I think traveling on those days is probably a bad idea, so definitely avoid that. I don't live around really kind of immediate family. We're kind of scattered across the country. In fact, my mother-in-law, she's actually part time in Mexico and the States. And so, I'm like, hey, we could just go somewhere, right? People can show up and meet us there, right? Destinations. Let's go do it. We got the time. Yep. But no, travel was great. It's a long flight, but for the most part, easy. Going through Heathrow Airport is the worst. They do the most scrutiny, but I only had to do that on the way back. My family had to do it both ways. I went through Madrid on the way in. You hit your passport in Madrid. Now you're in the EU, and I went to Portugal. So easy to get around.
Oh, nice.
The city was great. Metro, trains, I couldn't speak enough about it. It's a very safe city. Like you could take train everywhere. Never felt in danger. People, for the most part, could speak enough English to communicate with you. Definitely spoke a lot better English than I spoke Portuguese. I think I got down.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Thank you by the time I left. My wife speaks Spanish, so she could kind of like muddle through it. And then we used Google Translate, and you got stuff done, right? So it was pretty easy, but saw a lot of history, castles, hiked up and down there, things from the 8th century, 9th century. I mean, it was like, oh, being an American. Oh, history does go back more than 200 years. That's cool.
No.
Oh, this is what an old building looks like. Not the house I live in, right? So yeah, no, it was a great time. Pretty reasonably priced vacation. I had a great time. We don't.
Nice, yeah.
I think the most I did is I got on the train and went out to other cities to see these like castles and older history stuff. That was the most I pushed my family. I couldn't convince them to like hop over to Amsterdam last minute or anything. That's just kind of how our speed. Yeah. You don't go 100 miles an hour. My wife and I got to walk around the city. Heck, I was there so long, I did laundry at a laundromat. We went shopping in a shop. We did some domestic stuff like, oh, what would it be like to live here?
No, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's fun. It's good. It's a good amount of time.
No, that's good. I actually, and good. I assume you didn't fly Southwest.
Yes, that's probably the other one.
Didn't run into travel restriction. Not to give my secret away to our 2 listeners or whatever is out there, but that's why I think Thanksgiving. We've really been working on Thanksgiving.
That's right. We've talked about that. Yeah.
The travel holiday. I didn't make it out this year. Oh, that was another thing. My oldest child, my daughter, who is engaged and has a house with her fiance, they hosted Thanksgiving this year.
Oh, nice.
So that was nice. So to make sure so to make sure we showed up and went there, I didn't travel this year so we could support the daughter, which was fantastic. And it was nice that they did it. Really funny because Thanksgiving Day, my future son-in-law was like, yeah, this is awesome. A lot more work than I expected. So this might be a one and done thing. And I said, no.
No. It's yours now, buddy.
It's yours now. Yeah, exactly. So
my mother-in-law did that the first year we hosted it. And I figured out, brining a turkey is the secret, but I cooked it before I smoked them. And she said, this is really good. And Thanksgiving is yours now. And I was like, oh, okay. Then I ended up moving away. So they had to figure it out. But yeah, that's exactly, I got it. Nope. You'll do it now from now on. And so it was I'm trying to say, you're giving them props, I guess what I'm trying to say. But you're also giving them hey, you get the burden. And it's because we liked what we ate here. Giving them kudos, I guess what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. You can't set the bar too high on anything you do because then it's
now it's yours.
It's just given to you. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, that's great. Good stuff. I'm glad you guys got over there and had fun. I've only been to Europe that one time for a work event.
Right. Sardinia, right?
Yeah. And amazing, but it was for work, so I'd love to get the family back over there. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. We actually just started the process to get Lucas, the 7-year-old, a passport.
Yep.
So that's just so we have it. Spring break's coming up. I don't know if I'm gonna go do something. I don't know where it'll take us. So we just want to have the passport just in case. So.
Yep. Nope. That's what my wife had taken care of last year. My son had one when he was a baby. We went to Mexico with him. And
that's cool.
And we had the passport, but it had expired. So we had thought about going to Mexico with my in-laws, and then we're like, well, we don't even have a passport, so she just did it this year. So when this came up, it was perfect. Like, oh, well, got no reason not to go. Let's go.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's a little more difficult with children, right? They only last 5 years, and you both got to go. So, just trying to get that scheduled. Sweet. So. With that, unless you have some other thoughts and, or holiday thoughts, we could kind of shift over now. You mentioned we've got our kickoff coming up in March, all the way over in Disney World for our company.
It'll be the first in person. I guess I've only been through one of them, I guess. But yeah, so first in person. Somebody else we work with, my boss now, he's been here almost 3 years. It's going to be his first in person, so it's great to be back at it.
Yeah, this will be our first in person large event, right? Company wide event, which should be amazing. Like I said, to that point about some normalcy was coming back these holidays, and we're getting out there. We actually get to go back to a kickoff, so be fabulous. I know a lot of people don't like the Disney World area. I like that. I like that area. It's a long flight for us, unfortunately. I'd rather it be closer, but otherwise, I think it'll be great. It'll be so fun to just see everyone. And so, with that, we could talk about that, what we're excited about for the year here, Zane, or, I know when we started this, we had different roles. We've kind of mentioned, our titles and what our roles are, but now a good year and a half into these roles, I think we could share a little bit about our journeys and, how our SE journey has led us to this. And what we're doing these days. So
since we've started a podcast, we've gone from Veeam. You got to Pure first. I think I came a month or so later. It's just how the hiring process worked for these two roles. Funny is we also weren't on the same team, but now we are since the podcast came out, right? Like when we first came on, we were. I was what they called a principal technology strategist. I think it's my first job title. The org changed a little bit, kind of combined, right? And I know you'll go into your role, but your arm of it, the modern data protection, I guess at this point, is an extension of the team I'm on, which is the principal technologist, and then we have the field solution architects, the real specialists in those other areas. So, PT, my role will be more the generalist in the middle, kind of what's the strategy, how should we be looking at the whole portfolio, interfacing with product management and seeing what they've got coming down the pike and they're working on, give them input from the field that we're kind of responsible for or cover. Field I'm part of the Greater West, bringing that feedback through. So they're thinking and working and spending the resources on the right things that are important for our customers, and kind of doing that. Offering roadmap, things like that. It's kind of the role I have. A lot of times, also, hey, do you know a specialist in this thing so we can talk to this customer about this stuff, or can you help me? Yeah. With this problem, a little of that in my role, but that as a principal technologist. But yeah, the org is itself changed, right? As we've been here, it's kind of just kind of grown, and people have moved up the ladder. So there's been a lot of movement. It's funny. I joked. My boss, who's now my boss's boss, I guess, he got a promotion, and the whole org went with him. So first time it's ever happened to me. It's all kind of, I guess, in true peer fashion, right? Non-disruptive, kind of upgraded around me. As I kind of moved with it and got ever modern. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. And I'll let you kind of explain more your role, but you're the extension on that modern data protection side.
Yeah, it's interesting. You got me thinking, because I was going to start with, we've been here about a year and a half, but our roles haven't changed. We just haven't done a full SE journey update. Right. But our titles have changed.
Yeah.
So to your point, I completely
who our manager is. Yeah. Everything.
Yeah. I forgot. You're right. So we got hired on. What were you? A principal technology strategist. I was a field solution architect for data protection. Like I said, our titles have changed to, Zane's a principal technologist. I'm modern data protection specialist. Yeah. And honestly, we're going into a new year, so our titles may change again. So it'll be interesting to see. I know they're looking at like my role, especially modern data protection, and just what should the term be. So it's interesting because
what you do the best, right?
Really and that's all we're trying to do is convey what we do the best, because people get so stuck up on titles or wrapped around like, hey, my title's this. We're at this point now where we're global strategy. It's not really the title's not as important as much as what it conveys, so people kind of know what I do. Yeah. Right. And so that you know that. But yeah, as far as my role, like to Zane's point, we're global strategy. We're very similar. I just focus on the data protection portion of that, right? So talking to product management and strategizing, I evangelize, our products to the customer. I evangelize the customer back to product management, but all focused around data protection, right? So what do we do natively? Data protection.
It's still kind of, I was going to say, it's still kind of portfolio, right? We were talking about that. Like, I know your PTs are kind of portfolio, but so is modern data protection, just with that skew on it, right? So it is.
Yeah, we were just talking about that, because it's not that I focus on just one of Pure products. I focus on all Pure products, but from a data protection perspective, where Zane's going to be more broad against that across the portfolio. So, and then a lot of people
still talk about data protection, but you're right. But branch out of that. Yeah.
And a lot of people look at data protection. It depends on, if we ask 10 different people what data protection is, we probably get 10 different answers. You get a lot of people that think of it though as backup, right? Yep. And you hear data protection, they say, "Oh, we're the backup guys." Well, that's not really what we do. Now, for data protection, I do work with all the backup vendors that we integrate with. That is part of our job, but it's also, how does that integrate with our native solutions and, our native storage solutions and
thinking about resiliency, and right? Like and best practice and what the customer
that was the word I was looking for. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. HA and failover and DR, all those things are a piece of the solution puzzle, right? Yep. So,
and I would say, and I know you don't necessarily focus on it in a big way, but security can take a play into that, right? Like, how am I? And I know we have other people that kind of take that role because they've had that background, but that's part of it, right? Data Well, I used to, when I was an adjunct professor back in the day, I used to teach in the information assurance program that was in the decision science department. And so it's also where I got my degree, my undergrad degree. And I used to tell them that, right? Like, hey, you're talking about security, right? We're talking about, we got pen testing classes and we're doing network and best practice and hardening. But what about Restore, right? What about HA? What about that? I think that's, it's a major part of, in my opinion, what data assurance, if you want, or information assurance or data assurance or data resiliency. It's a big part of it, right? It's a whole solution, it's the NIST model if you go look at that, right? Because at the end of the day, when it doesn't work or they do get through or you're going to have to recover and you're going to have a solid plan, right? So it's all part of it. You'd hope to not, it's not always the go-to, but you need it there, right? You need to show that you have it and tested, and that's where your team comes in.
Yeah, and I think, we talked about this a lot. I mean, once you start talking data protection and backup, a lot of things come into play, right? You need to know a lot of stuff. That's why it's hard to just be a subject matter expert on just one thing, because there's so many things touching it.
Yeah.
Right. And so you get to be generalist about everything else. But I like your points. Look, security versus privacy versus availability versus resiliency versus, those are all different things. Right. And we could get into really deep conversations about all that. But absolutely, I do think governance and security falls into, at least a piece of it falls into data protection. Right.
Yep. Yeah. And then it all relates up to what you're doing in production, right? How you're, and that's where the top end comes, right? Those applications that you're using, and the best course of action for them, and yeah, all one big piece.
Yeah. So, we get a little sidetracked there. Do we want to maybe, being this is the SE journey, and really, I usually think that I think about our audience as someone that is probably not in the SE field yet, right? They're IT admin looking at coming to SE, or maybe how to grow their role in their journey. Do we want to discuss a little bit how our new roles are different from just a standard SE role? I mean, we're still in the sales engineer org, and we consider all of this sales engineering. But I definitely think there are, and I'm thinking of, those that want to step out and like to talk to people and get out in front of the customers, how our roles are a little different, how maybe it got us more into that or took us from that, those kind of things.
Yeah. And then it kind of relates, right? I mean, first something to hone on what you just said last, from an SE perspective, you're saying having to know kind of all the stuff around it. That actually played a big role in being an SE, in my opinion, because we sold a technology, right? We were at Beam Software, and that touched a lot of things. So I kind of had to understand what that meant. If it touches VMware, what do you got to do over there to make it work, and things like that. And I think that gets even more expanded in what we're talking about on a day-to-day basis here. But if we just take from SE to this, we probably would say more of the sales staff, but we support the SE in the things they're trying to get done. But the big difference now is, if we said I was an IT admin and I want to go to an SE, what's the difference? Well, you're talking about technology and solutions, kind of maybe in a more focused sense, if you work for a manufacturer, or maybe in a broad sense if you work for a VAR, but you're no longer managing the data or the network, right? You're not managing that anymore. You're helping people who manage. You're taking yourself out of that, and now I would think, if going into our roles as an SE, now we don't really manage the customer relationship that much, right? We are a benefit or asset, right, on top of that, or a resource. That'd be a better word. A resource that the people that manage. So kind of as the way I'm seeing it, as an SE kind of removes from being the IT admin, but still kind of works with the IT admin. Now we're removing ourselves from the SE org and taking those lessons. And as when I was an SE, what did I need? As an SE, what would be helpful? How do I get involved but not get in the way? That sort of thing. But so it is a different challenge, because now you're saying, hey, I guess it's a all influence, no authority, right? You're like, hey, I'm kind of hopefully helping shape these opportunities, or maybe the strategy for, how, I'm the commercial PT, how commercial should talk and interact with their customers and what their needs are. But I don't have direct management of that customer relationship or those teams, right? I'm working, they have their own manager, they have their own directors. So So that's kind of the biggest change. But where they relate, as somebody takes that career trajectory and building on what came before, that's kind of, I guess, my thoughts on how I see it. And still learning, right? I mean, year and a half in.
Oh yeah, always learning.
Yeah. I think that's probably key in all the roles. You're always going to be learning, right? It just might be a different skill or a different focus on that skill.
I'll say that, that's a great point, actually, you just brought up. It's something that's exciting about our roles is we get a lot of chances to learn some advanced stuff. Yeah. And we do get some advanced classes. There's pluses and minuses, right? It's great to learn more, but now I have a more demanding role where I also need to learn more. I get more classes to take. So it's just more work all around. So
hopefully I think you still love it. It's something as somebody thinks about this career, it's hard work, but hopefully it's in a subject you like, so you don't mind doing the work on it. You don't mind learning it. I was just speaking of teaching, man, I thought this is very apropos, actually, now I think about it. My old professor I worked with, and he was talking about PhD. He goes, yeah, so the secret I tell people when they want to get a PhD is it's a lot of work. So pick a degree, definitely get it. Like some people just want the PhD, so they go and they take something they don't really have a lot of interest in, right? Whatever, just to get maybe it's an ED or whatever. Mm-hmm. But my advice is do something you love, so that way at least the subject matter that you're spending most of your time on is something you really wanted to learn or go research and things like that. I think it's the same here. Like you said, you're going to learn a lot more, but it's in a area that I believe you still are very generally interested in and get excited when you learn something new or put something together like, oh, wow, this could work that way. Man, I wish I knew this a year ago because I would have told everybody to do this. And so as long as you're still excited about it, it ain't that hard. It ain't work if you love it, right?
Exactly.
But it does take a lot of effort. Yeah. Is it worth the squeeze, I guess is what we're asking.
It's one of those things. I used to hear that when I was a kid growing up and then going, yeah, but what I love doesn't make money. Yeah. And then you come back around and you're like, you know what? But it's important to do what you love because it doesn't feel like work.
So there's Jim Collins, Good to Great. I know I quote the guy too much. But he put in there, and I know it's probably just an idea he had. It's not his only idea, but he called it it's like, I think it was the hedgehog concept. Anyway, there's the Venn diagram. There's what you are good at. There's what you were born to do, or, what you're passionate about, so what you're good at, kind of born to do, what you're passionate about, and then what will people pay you for, right? And it's that intersection, that Venn diagram intersection that you should be kind of looking at. If you can find something that kind of touches all those aspects, you'll be a happy person, right? You can't just do 1,000% what you love to do or what you're passionate about because, that's you. But you can bleed that into, and over my career, I started in graphics, built ads for newspapers, right? I did printing in high school. I thought I loved it. I wanted to go to get a graphics degree. So I took so long in college. I started doing that. Took a 4-hour drawing class and I said, I can't do this. Like, I don't want to do this. This is not my thing, right? My daughter, she spends a ton of her time drawing and painting. She loves it, right? And you can really tell. But as I went through that transition, and I'm really going back here, I found that engineering and building like workflows, and even when I built ads, I built them in a newspaper field. It's kind of like turn and burn every week. You're kind of changing things. I built them in such a way that they were easy to edit or easy to take apart, or they were kind of consistent in a format. And I just realized that that's where the mind is. But I saw like, hey, the creativity I want can bleed into engineering and tech, right? You have to be creative in how you put things together. You have to be creative outside of the box thinking, right? It's similar, but it's not creative in a pure creativity. I'm drawing and painting and making art. You're being able to be passionate and creative about, this engineering or building things to that degree. And I don't know if that kind of makes sense, but that's how when I realized that, it made it a lot easier for me to figure out what to do.
To see my son as he grows up, because he's already he's already doing programming on his Switch and building games. And I'm getting him into Code Ninjas. And so he's got very much of the nerdy programming gaming, side like I do, where you got to, try to get him out of the house sometimes. But then he has the artistic side that I don't have. Yeah. The artistic, he draws, not anymore, but when he was a little younger, he used to be like, "Hey, Daddy, can you help me draw this?" I'm like, "Buddy, you've already passed me.
No,
So
you got
I
it.
can't." And he's like, "No, you can do it." And I'm like, "No, I don't want to discourage you and think you can't, but I know
Daddy
I
can't do it.
I know I can't. I got 40 years of trying. So so
It's not going to happen for me.
so he might really blend that whole, like, if he really goes, who knows, he's 7, nobody will do, but blend that whole like graphics piece with gaming and be like part of the graphics.
He's
gaming
coding
piece.
and engineering for the purpose of the art or whatever, for the creative part. But and it's that's great. Yeah, it's a blend, right? You're not 100%.
Where mine was always the very logical side, the outcome, because I don't have the artistic ability. So I'm like, God, I'm working away at this programming just to make the click work, and then you're like, yeah, it worked.
Yeah.
All right. So
making the thing work functionally. Someone else can make it pretty, and that's why why everybody has a job, right? Not everybody does the same thing.
So I want to go back to PhD comment you made and our roles, because we sidetracked a little bit. I had a professor at San Diego State. He was a PhD. I believe it was my music professor, actually. He's a music professor. He's a PhD.
Yeah.
And he says, so he started telling us about degrees. I know you brought this up a while ago, but he starts telling us about a degree, and he goes, this is how the degrees go. So your BS, your Bachelor of Science, your BS is just that. It's BS. And then he goes, you'll go get an MS, and that stands for more of the same. And then a PhD, which just means piled higher and deeper. that is how he told us those went. That always stood with me. I thought it was funny. But
and
I know we've talked about that.
Some people skip the more of the same, right? Yeah, the way I was always saying, bachelor's is, well, it really shows that you can stick with the program and you learn something. Yeah. Master's, you master it, you really dive deeper into that subject. And PhD is where you actually bring something back to the field, right? You actually have to contribute. And that's kind of what that means. But yeah, I mean, they all ask for bachelor's. We're not saying don't go to college. You could probably learn a lot on the internet nowadays, though. Depends on what you're going to college for. Don't go to college for something that makes no sense.
That's a good point. I was just reading, because I think
the discipline of it might be good, right?
Absolutely. To your point, when people went to college, it was more about like, hey, because that's what people whine about. I don't want all these other classes. Yeah. But that's what it used to be. Leadership would look at your degree and go, look, you stuck through all this stuff.
Yep.
You can actually do it and figure it out. That was a big point. Now you get more vocational stuff. So what I was going to say is I was reading some articles about big tech companies taking away the need for degrees, right? Because they needed to hire people. Now I'm curious if this is going to switch back around with all the tech companies laying people off now, right? Yeah. Laying more people off, and then they're going to be more picky about who they take in the future. So I'd be cautious about not wanting to go get a degree, because that probably will flip back around. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Well, it may, if we're talking about kind of blending like career advice here, I guess, or whatever, reflection, we should say. I don't know if we're qualified for advice, but it may hit you at a roadblock somewhere in your future, right? Yeah, I learned how to code. You could learn math with a few books and coding with a few books and the internet, right? I mean, let's just argue that you could be probably one of the most best coders in the world if you just with this time and practice. But you might want to move into, we're talking about our roles. You might want to move into a leadership role of that. You might want to, I don't know, go on the board, not the board, but like the kind of found a company, right? And you might have to understand other aspects. So it may put a roadblock in future aspirations. But yeah, there's a lot of skill. I guess there's skills, and then there's experience, and then there's kind of other things that maybe college can give you. So
yeah,
when thinking about it, but don't just get one to get one and jump in. I actually, I'm sorry, to cut you off, but
no,
worked in the journalism field, right? That's where I started in IT. That's where I started graphics and then IT. There were plenty of journalists that said, I don't know why I got this degree. This is not what I thought it would be, and I don't want to do this for a living. And they changed, right? Someone like, I just want to write a book. I see a lot of them. I follow them on LinkedIn. They're all marketing directors or communications. So I guess that kind of fits. But they went into whole other fields because they're like, I want to make a living. I don't want to just chase the beat. And then some of them stayed, right? But they jumped into college, took journalism, were very idealistic. They were young. So it's a little bit of both, right? Maybe learn a skill, get some experience. find out what you like, and then study it. That's why I should probably argue I was in college long enough to have a PhD already, but I only have a master's. But that's because I bounced around a little, right?
Yeah.
Graphics to physics to IT. So anyway, sorry, I don't know who that's for, but that's a reflection on my life. Yeah, but good. I guess we're trying to say, we're not saying don't go to college. We're just saying there's a lot of things you can learn without college. Make sure you're going to college for the right reason.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I think a lot of people, just to finish that thought, again, that degree is to show that you can learn stuff and stick it through. A lot of people don't actually do what their degree is in, right?
Yeah.
Like to your point.
Which is fine too. I think that's what people on the show, right? Brian Sullins, that guy was a literature major.
Yeah.
Guy's now a VMware SE. So it's like, it's crazy, where it could take you. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's great. Going back just to our roles real quick that you mentioned. I know we're kind of jumping around, but you mentioned, we were talking about the differences in our role. You mentioned coming from IT to SE and then to our role. I want to go back to that thought because we've talked a lot about, with our guests coming from IT. If you're in IT doing admin stuff and you want to become an SE, you kind of have to break out of your shell a little bit.
Yep.
Be happy to talk to customers, right? You're really going to get out there, really be like a trusted advisor and go talk to people, right? You move into something, and the reason I bring that up is because if you have ambitions to move into like a role more like ours that we're into now, a little bit of that's going to go away, right? Like, so when you're in IT, you don't talk to customers a lot. SE, if you really want to break out and talk to customers, SE is a great role. We've talked about it on this show a lot.
In front of the customers, the partners,
get to talk tech. Yep, you get to talk to everyone, but you get to talk about tech, but you get to talk. If you don't want to talk, it's probably going to be more difficult.
In fact, that's going to be a majority of your job as an SE, right? You're going to be the talker. You're going to be the presenter. And you're learning kind of on the side to support that. But that's
so. And if you love that, then you're probably going to stick with those kind of roles. If you want to get in the middle, go moving on to a role like Zane or I have now. I still get called in for important calls if the field, our teams need us to talk to a customer. So we still get some of that. But like Zane said, this is what made me think about it, is we're not really owning that relationship, right? No. As an SE, you own that relationship. That's when we were the trust advisor. I knew my customers really well.
And that's our focus, right? They own the technical relationship, and I'm very, very adamant. Like, I want that, right? We're not trying to take this over. Yeah.
And I'll still build a relationship with the customer, right? And understand what they want and help them and come in. But I come in as needed. I'm not, I'm not that relationship owner. And so I just kind of wanted to point that out because there are roles on this side too, where if you want more customer engagement, you could have it. If you want less customer engagement, you could have it. So I think that's a big one for us is less customer engagement, but still helping the field. The other part that I like here that I think is different from where I was as an SE is we've mentioned it, but we get to talk to product management a lot and evangelize both ways to the field and back to Pure. So we probably bring more stuff back to Pure and product management about, hey, this is what our field's seeing and this is what they would like. And these are the solutions we need more than we ever push stuff from, hey, we created this, customer, go use it, right? I think we give more stuff back to PM and Pure. And those discussions are
awesome. If it's the latter, it's more, hey, why aren't you using this feature? Oh, it's missing these things? Hey, PM. And it's right back to like feedback. Yeah, so you're right, even when it's that.
It's just more of that discovery, right? But now we get to discover on not only what the customer is trying to do, but what they may want to do and what kind of solutions they need. And so that part of it, being able to interact and really, I feel that we drive where the product goes because of that is really exciting to me, right? So I lost some of the go talk to my customers every day. I do miss that, but I gained some of this other stuff that's exciting as well. So
yeah. And then, when we are interacting with the customer, I think I already said this, is try to remember when I was an SE, what I might have wanted or what would help me, right? And not,
correct. Yes. I totally missed that.
I'm not taking it over. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm just adding right back to what you're saying. And then, so as we go through and you're building on your career, everything kind of builds on the rest. But yeah, our focus isn't that anymore. We don't do that. So these roles exist. And then even, this isn't my role, but just kind of made me think of it. I believe we have interviewed or we've mentioned in the field, there are SEs, and then some people call them SAs. But SAs, so we have field solution architects, which you said you kind of were, and we have other ones, or that was your title. Other ones that focus like you in different products. But you have solution architects who are kind of behind the scenes, right? And they're the ones that we interface with, you probably more so, that test the solutions and really kind of rigorously go through the tech and maybe very rarely talk to a customer, right? But they interact internally on the team, right? They're part of that team. So when you go to talk to a customer, you're like, yeah, we find these types of restores, we find this type of performance because that team exists. So really digging deep into the tech, not owning a network, not owning a customer relationship, but helping with shaping how we communicate and what we can say does and doesn't work for best practices for the field, right? So even that exists. And they have some varying backgrounds, right? I think maybe some were SEs. They definitely work for other tech companies, in similar fashions. But so there's that trajectory too, right?
Yeah. A lot of them were engineers or PM or deep technical in those other companies. That's a great point. It's one of the great things on our side here at this company. We work so closely together. Yeah, that it's great. Even you and I do. It's great because we're that close. The tough part is we work so closely together. It's hard for others to differentiate what we do sometimes, right? To your point, I get asked a lot, like, "Hey, about solution testing and things like that," because I'm the data protection SME and strategist.
So you must be doing all of it, Chris.
Right? So aren't you writing all the documentation and doing all the deep testing and doing the lab work? But we don't do all that, right? So to your point, we have solutions team, and they do the deeper testing, and we kind of just blend from the back end to the field, and we sit in the middle there, and
everybody has that focus, right? Like I said, the SE has that customer relationship. You have that, hey, this is how we're talking about data protection and best practice, and then I got a guy or a team that validates that for me, so we can, so it's all one cohesiveness out the door. Yep.
And then
it's nice.
So I have that with our data protection solutions team. Zane and I get that because we're both global strategists, basically. We're both on global strategy. And while, Zane looks at everything, not just data protection, he can do data protection as well. So, and I'll
come to you and ask you questions. And then you're like,
exactly.
Let's go talk to the SAs.
Yeah.
And then you and I will mess around in the lab, but that's more of a, hey, what's possible?
Yep.
Okay, great. Now someone go validate this.
Or I get pulled into data protection and go, hey, this includes this too, Zane. Let's talk about it together. Yeah. And then even more so where we're both global strategy and solutions are real. We're really focused. We look at it global strategy, but our main focus, I guess, is the West. I don't want to call it the focus, but we're really
responsible for. We're
the teams that we really go with are the West. So then Zane and I even overlap a little more, right? So that's why we stay in touch all the time, because we're really just trying to enable. We're doing mostly the same things, enabling the field with just a little bit different focus, maybe. So
that, and we've worked together so long that just it kind of works out. So always
we work
like
together
presenting with you.
That's good.
Likewise.
So
that's true. So I guess we got a little more than I thought, right? I mean, just from an SE journey perspective, like at this level, there are these. It isn't just SE. And you could do that for your whole career, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you can get into these more overlay roles, and there's overlay roles that are completely technical. Like I just do the tech for this. I mean, that's really what our FSAs are, right? VMware, SQL, Oracle, kind of lead like how the company's going, maybe in that, giving feedback, but really just talking about those deeply. Then you have the people behind the scenes. You don't want to be in front of the customer as much, but you want to socialize with the team and build cool solutions or validate solutions, but you don't, you want to do it for manufacturers. So those roles exist. Yep. And heck, we should probably have one of them on the show at some point, huh? Maybe we find one that wants to talk about how they got there. That might be a very interesting aspect.
Who's that?
I'm just somebody that has that role, like an SA role, solutions.
Oh,
hey, how'd you get here? Like, what I mean? How does that journey look like, right? It's kind of SC support. So that'd be interesting. Just throwing that out there.
Oh, you're talking. Yeah, no, that's great. You're talking more about our back end essays.
Yeah. I'm just thinking
because it's interesting because we call ours essays, but they're really the back end test. Other companies call SA is the field facing one, more like an SE.
That's why I brought that up. Yeah, we've mentioned that before. SE and SA could go over interchangeably, but then there's this whole other SA.
Yeah, that's true. That's why my attention went away. I just read an article and now I can't find it. think it was on LinkedIn if you can find it, but it's like 38 titles for SE. I just went through and there's an article. There's
awesome.
like, and they listed them all. And I thought it would have been great to bring on this, and now I can't find it. But it's basically that, right? There's so many titles, and companies are trying to figure out what they mean.
Maybe that's the part of the new year, right? As we said on this new podcast, maybe we go through 38 title of SE and maybe try to address all of them throughout the year, right? That's
all of them.
That's a good goal. Figure that out. I like that.
It's interesting
a theme for 2023.
That's a good idea, because actually you could probably find 38 different titles with the same job, and then 38 people with the different titles with a different job.
Yeah,
that's how awesome this is. So,
yeah, that's why we're trying to kind of say from a role perspective, you get too hung up on the name. Heck, my title name changed all the time, but it's like, what does it really do? It kind of was the same, just kind of they connected us more, right? Like, really the kind of the same role. You should be doing the same things, but we're going to change the title to, like you said earlier, maybe better address what it is so people can understand, and then we'll connect these teams together, because you should really be socializing across to bring that cohesive message, because there's overlap, right? Hey, as I'm hearing things, I know this FSA is working on that. Let me bring them to bear. Or I got the brief with them and this is what they're covered. Same on the modern data protection. Oh, I know Chris and team are working on this with this data protection vendor. Or you're like, hey, I know Zane, you work on a project with the PM of replication. Like, how does that, can you answer this question to how it's going to relate to this data protection? So it's all back and forth.
Yep.
Again, those roles exist. And then you got the people behind the scenes, if you will, that work on the teams to help us understand that tech better so we can bring it to bear, because we can't do it all. And then we have those SEs. I'll still say the sales engineer, system engineer. That's still pretty much the same role with that title. Yeah. Sometimes it's called SA. Help go manage that customer relationship for us and really do the forward facing. They bring us in for some prezos when they don't, they kind of like, hey, you can do the bigger ones, the group ones, because I want to manage the customer relationship. I'm not trying to be the public face. Anyway, so yeah, from a role perspective, that's what's out there as people are looking to get into this field or change around, or why they might learn or focus, move. Heck, yeah, I talked to an old colleague that maybe we don't both know. We might have missed him at Veeam. He's in the Seattle area. He's gone on to technical marketing, and he's now a PM, right? But when I met him, he was we called an SA at Veeam. He was an SE before that, and he was at a VAR before that. So that's his trajectory. Now he's on the product management side, right? It's directly managing a product for VMware.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, a lot of ways you can go in this business.
Well, and you said something in there I was gonna say, like, and if you're unsure, right? If you're not 100% like, oh, I want to be customer facing, or maybe I'd like that, but I don't know. That's okay, right? It's okay to be a little bit uncomfortable, step out of your comfort zone, take a chance if you want. And I only share that because I don't want to speak out of turn for Zane, but I assume both of us still question what we want to do, right? We love our jobs, but at the same time, there's days where I go, man, I'd love to just sit in the back and never talk to anyone and just figure out solutions. And there's other days where I'm like, I'm sitting here, this is so boring. I want to get out and go be with customers. Help someone solve a problem. And so actually that's why I feel like my role is a great mix, because I do a little bit of both. Some days I really want to do all of one or the other, but for the majority, it's been a great mix for me, and I'm loving it.
I think we're similar. I know we're similar in that. Like I want a job where it isn't the same thing all the time.
Right. Yeah.
That can be daunting and frustrating, but I like that because I got time over the holidays when everybody's kind of away to work on some lab stuff, test out some theories. I updated a blog because of it. Right. So, but then you're right. Like I was I could just spend most of the day just focused on this and building videos. But yeah, at some point yesterday I went out and attended some partner stuff. Like, yep, let's go do that part of the job now. Cause I don't want to just do that. I like doing it. And I'm glad I got to kind of catch up on it and read some things and kind of do some research. But if that's all I was doing, I may not be as happy. I mean, I was an inside engineer when I first started in this game, and I was just giving demos all day. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah. I just couldn't do it. It's like, I'm just giving the same demo all day, every day. And I'm learning the product and I'm glad I did it. but it's time to get in front of the customers. I want to be in the field, right? Now
Well,
I want to be across the field,
Exactly. And you said the different personalities want different things. Like you and I, you hit it on the nose. I like something different all the time. I like change. I move my office and my house around just because I like change, even though we're kind of creatures of habit. We've talked to other people that are like, nope, I want to go in. I know that that's my desk. I start at 8:00 and I'm going to have my same routine every day. I want my routine.
Maybe my calendar's set for me, so I don't even have to go get the meetings. Yeah. That's great.
And I like having a routine, but I like my day to change. So all of us like different things. So I'm glad you brought that up too. But yeah, there's all those different things. Maybe we have a spin-off episode and even talk about, SE at a VAR versus SE at a manufacturer.
Yeah. I think
things
these
like
are
that because you brought up VARs, so
we should get into that this year. We've mentioned them, but we should maybe be a little more focused. I think it was who could I get to agree to come on our little show, and let's go to my friends and ask everybody to.
We'll try to branch out.
We can be a little more focused now that we've hopefully gotten a little notoriety out there. So we got some good guests that have helped push the show name out there, and even. Yeah, no, I think that's a good point.
That'd be great.
Focus on some VAR SEs. Look at that list, like you said. We'll go find it and try to do all the 38 names for an SE.
That's actually a great idea. I think we
some
do
people that fit at least maybe they fit a couple, right? Maybe we can cover a couple in one episode. I like it. There you go. We put it on the podcast. We have to do it now, right?
So we do the New Year episode. Well, no, I love that idea. And with that, our half-hour holiday special has turned into an hour.
Yeah.
So any other
maybe
thoughts
some editing?
before
Maybe do some editing here. We'll take out great, Zane and Chris are catching up.
Any other thoughts before we to wrap it up?
No, looking forward to 2023, and I think some exciting things are going to happen. I've, like I said, we just centered over the holiday, and I've reflected on some, and I think you're right. We always kind of think, what do I want to do next? I'm always kind of aiming for what's next. And by next, I mean 5 years out, 6 years out, 10 years out. Where do I want to be and what I'm going to build into that, and have some plans to kind of build that along the way. Maybe I'll talk about it as we go with shows and see where that goes, just where I'm going to learn, what I'm going to focus on. But very excited to go into the new year of somewhat normalcy again, or at least we're used to this normalcy now. But yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And something I meant to mention at the beginning, because Zane talked about recording some extra videos. Go check his videos out on YouTube. Zane Allen, he posted some new. Like I said, I checked out over the holidays. I don't even know if I was alive. Zane got some more recordings done. Go check those out on YouTube. There's some good stuff. I went down with some. Basically defaulting back to Veeam as an application, but kind of how it works with the Pure platform and just testing out some things. Yeah, so got really excited. Good stuff. We do a lot of together. Yep. It's exciting. Go check those out. His blog, if you want to see the writing part, is West Coast IT Hipster, right? Yep. And check out those videos. You can always check me out at No Label Rocker. I didn't put up anything new over the holidays. Hopefully this year there's lots of good stuff coming, so I'm excited about that. We do want to get more of that enablement out. That's part of our roles where it's like, it would be nice to have more time to do this, but it's not all I want to do. Talk about more than once. Why don't you make a video and just pass it around? Yeah, why don't you make a blog out of it? And now that you can just take transcripts out of video, it's so much easier, by the way. Yep. Just a little tip out there. So go check those videos out. There's new Zane Allen on YouTube, the Veeam and Pure. They're good videos, so check them out. Yep. And with that, I'll just say, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everyone out there. I hope it was a fun, safe holidays for you and your families out there. And I can't wait to keep doing this in 2023 and hopefully do more of them this year. So. We are going to do more, Chris. But thank you, everyone. Resolution. Yeah. Your 2023 great. I hope you had a great new year, and thank you for listening. Thanks, Amy.